Well, welcome back to the Discover Fort Smith podcast. My name's Josh Bufink. I'm with the city of Fort Smith, and today filling in for my usual co-host, Emily Horn, is Ashley Backert. She's the Executive Director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau here in Fort Smith, also known as Discover Fort Smith, which is the name of this podcast. And today we have a very special guest with us, one of my favorite people in the world.
And mine.
Sara Deuster, our Director of Parks and Recreation at the City of Fort Smith. Thank you so much for being here, Sara.
Thank you guys for having me. Looking forward to it.
So tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do for the city.
So Sara Deuster, Director of Parks and Recreation. Before that, I worked my way up in our department. I actually started operating the Ferris wheel downtown and kind of worked my way up from there. I actually wanted to be a teacher, believe it or not, but graduating in December, usually jobs aren't available then. A job, an entry-level job in Parks and Rec, full-time popped up, thought it'd be a short-time gig. Turned out I loved it and just worked my way up to where I am now.
So how many years now have you been with the city?
Full-time, 10 years, I think, or 11.
Happy 10-year.
11th.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you started Ferris wheel operator.
Right.
Now you're the director. And you're
Who
about
else
to
can
be
say that?
Dr. Deuster. Is that right? Or you're on your way to that?
I will be finished in December with my doctorate.
That's
Congratulations.
awesome. Congratulations.
Don't call me doctor. You should
I
call
totally.
me.
We are all going to walk around.
Hey, you is fine.
We are totally doing doctor. Dr. D.
Okay.
So what?
Dr. D.
So what does the Parks and Recreation Department do in the city of Fort Smith? I know people have an idea of what they do, but I think the scope is much bigger than people even realize.
100%. I think people mainly think our maintenance staff, you go and mow in the summer and then you're not really doing much.
Yeah.
But we have an awesome group of ladies and gentlemen who maintain their parks. You do, of course, see them mowing and weed eating out. But we've recently got into a lot of in-house construction, doing demolition. We actually did the splash pad prep for Martin Luther King Jr. Park. First time we've done that.
Which is awesome. The new splash pad at Martin Luther King Jr. I got to stop you for a second. My kids went out there this last weekend. They were on the slide, and yeah, it was incredible. Seeing all the kids just having a blast out there. Sorry, it's super
I miss
cool.
having one that little so we could go do that. Otherwise, it's just creepy that my daughter and my 15-year-old are out there. Like,
No, it's for everybody. Parks are for everybody.
It's for everyone.
Yeah.
There is no age limit on that. I'm not going to say it's not going to look awkward. An adult out there with a bunch of kids.
you're going to judge me, but it's okay.
But no, I think Martin Luther King Jr. Park, I really like that splash pad.
Yeah.
I know kids, mostly they're drawn to the slide feature, but I actually like the back side of the slide, which it's a little calming cove for kids who they get overstimulated. They can go back out there, chill out, kind of gather themselves, maybe cancel out some of the chaos of play. And still be engaged in playing. So Martin Luther King Jr. Park splash pad for sure.
Yeah.
Great project.
Sorry, I stopped you right in the middle. So they're doing some in-house. You're doing some in-house construction. What else are you guys doing?
We are Holiday Lights. That is all us. And they start in October and all the way through January. They are bulbing, wiring, and displaying.
Do you know how many lights, like roughly?
Oh, man. Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands.
It's crazy to see how many go up and just in Creekmore alone, but they're all throughout the city, aren't they? I mean,
they are. We have Creekmore, downtown. And what I like about the holiday lights is I'm completely out of it. That is 100% our staff doing that. They have all sorts of these ideas. They'll bring them to me. Some are crazy, and they're like, well, hear me out a minute. And I'm like, okay. And that is all them. They love doing it. They don't love doing it just because they get a paycheck every 2 weeks, but because opening night, we have all of our staff there, and they get to see all the citizens, the kids' faces light up, smile, and they're just enjoying that in the train.
yeah.
So I think that's important to talk about with our staff. They're really service-driven.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So you have parks, but then there's like this whole other side thing that also falls underneath your purview that I learned about very quickly on my tour with you when I first started, and it floored me and then also made me laugh and giggle a lot. What else is underneath the Parks and Recreation umbrella?
So we have Parks, Recreation, and Oak Cemetery.
Yeah.
That's a public cemetery. Our city does maintain that. I'm not sure how we got it, but we did. But we have an excellent staff out there. They maintain it very well.
Yeah.
You know, it's something unique that you don't really think of. So whenever I give presentations to people, I'm like, oh, and hey, Oak Cemetery. And everyone's like, why do you have a cemetery? And I'm like, hey, it's ours. We maintain it. And, But I think we do a really good job. Our staff does.
And it's just right off Old Greenwood Road, kind of across or next.
Kelly Ball Fields.
The Kelly Ball Fields.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, that's all. So what things are you doing in the Parks and Recreation sphere that excite you, that things that you've I know that we have a lot of innovative parks and stuff like that. What excites you about what you're doing in Parks and Recreation in Fort Smith?
I think what's most important for me, both coming up as wanting to be an educator, but then also a public servant, is Fort Smith. We found kind of our Parks and Rec niche is inclusivity, inclusive design for ages, all abilities, all ages, and everything. And it's really rewarding for our different playground reps and people to say, hey, we want to do this playground. Well, what do you want? And they're like, hey, Fort Smith, that's what we want. And I think our department's really made that brand for ourselves to where we've set the precedent, and we're constantly improving on that. And we've seen a great support in our community. And I think for us, we've always known that, but it wasn't until we really started getting some community support and that idea of, well, what exactly is inclusive design?
Yeah.
And breaking that from accessibility, saying, oh, yeah, you can go, you can see the equipment, but you can't interact with it, you can't use it.
Yeah.
And so once we got the community buy-in, I mean, it's just rolled into what you see today.
What is the difference between just being accessible and being a fully inclusive playground?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to explain it is, different abilities. People usually think when you say, hey, something's accessible, someone in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Well, that's only one form of different kind of abilities that someone has. But to kind of say that, I'll use that as an example. Accessibility, whenever you're talking about a playground, they can wheel up to the playground, can't really use it. The wood fiber mulch, are you really going to be able to go in there? Well, if you are confined to a wheelchair and can't use your lower body, can't do anything but sit on the sidelines and watch. Inclusive design takes the ADA guidelines from accessibility and puts that person, well, how can we accommodate them and get them engaged with people in that area, on that playground? And with that, kind of whenever we're looking at auditory impairments, well, what can we do? Can we do some kind of tactile panel? Maybe we do have a rain sound if they can kind of pick that up. Sensory issues, and then also collaborative play. Most people don't really think of that when they're thinking of a disability, but so often people they kind of play and they're siloed. So we strategically position and pick equipment that somewhat forces collaboration and makes them cross. So they meet new people and they're playing with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, like the teeter-totters at Martin Luther King Jr. Park. I was there this week, and that's one of those examples where it's like side by side. You're kind of forced to that. And then there's swings at John Bell Jr. that are somewhat like that as well.
Love those swings.
And I've heard stories, I'm sure you have, residents have reached out to me, almost just overly thankful and people in tears sometimes saying, thank you so much for providing a place where my kid can enjoy this equipment as well.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. If we can do anything to make sure, even if you're just one kid that's been on the sidelines for years, if you can just help that one kid, that's what it's all about. But we absolutely encourage anyone, if they see something that, hey, can we improve on, tell us. Because that's really how our fenced in playgrounds, that's how that came about. A parent that I actually know, it's a friend, she goes, well, these are great and all, but my kid, he has elopement issues. I'd love for him to go on that and play, but is he going to run out in the middle of the park? Is he going to cross a road? I was like, well, you know what? You're right. Didn't think about that. But now we're installing fences where it makes sense. And that's just a little thing to where if people don't give us that feedback, please, you're not saying anything negative about us. Tell us, because if you don't, sometimes we can't address it.
Yeah. I love that. And I think your department does an incredible job at listening to residents and then responding in an actionable way, not just hearing, but what can we actually do to make this a reality or change what we're doing, processes involved. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
What are some other projects that have excited you, or things coming that people may not be aware of that they should be excited about too?
So I'll start with the bathhouse and diving well enclosure at Creekmore. It's been going over a year. It's been great to work with Bashir's Construction. It's a very long project. I'm ready to get it over the finish line. I think we all are. Not because it's been a challenge, but just because we get to experience, we've been inside of it. We want the public to experience that as well, because when you have something 75 years old, we do have, there's history there, but I think once citizens can get in there, utilize it and say, hey, we have clean bathrooms that aren't grungy and everything, they'll be excited. We'll have a party room. And something that we kind of teased out there a little, we intentionally gave generic renderings that were not really zoomed in on specific equipment, is Tillis Park.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
Everyone is excited for Carolyn Cross Park. Don't get me wrong. That's my favorite park right now.
Can you say that? Can you have a favorite? Okay.
I absolutely can.
I'm a child that doesn't have feelings.
Yes, I rotate. I mean, John Bell Jr. Park will always be my baby. Okay?
Yeah.
John Bell Jr. Park's my baby. I was with it from the dirt up.
Yeah.
But Carolyn Cross, honestly, that it started with just replacing the bathrooms and parking and a new fishing pier. And that kind of just snowballed into the boardwalk project, which absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely amazing. And then the inclusive playground, I think, people were excited. They were a little too excited and went past construction fencing. But, whenever you go out there and you see 50 kids and you see, well, the construction fencing's on there, you do a little walk around, you're like, everything's safe. We're not going to get into that because we don't have to, but it's my favorite now. But Tillis is going to absolutely be amazing.
Yeah. That's cool. What's exciting about Tillis? I mean, I kind of have the inside scoop, so to speak, but so I've seen like the videos about what is going in out there, but what's exciting about it?
So think American Ninja Warrior for toddlers on steroids.
The toddlers on steroids?
No, the American Ninja Warrior course designed for toddlers, really on steroids. I mean, this is really our playground. So the feedback we get a lot is, well, you're doing great. These playground improvements, they're great for 10 and under, but something for the older kids. And it's called the Qantas 8.2.
It's so cool.
It's cool. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
You had a chance to go and play on this.
I sure did. And let me tell you, it was great.
Yes, this is what I remember hearing was how excited you were coming off of it.
Not only did I get to go play on it, I got to see one in production.
Nice.
It wasn't ours, but it's amazing. Adults can for sure play on it with their kids, and it's really designed for ages 10 and up. But what's unique about that is you see the surface, but there is so much playability below it. Something for even little kids. There's some calming coves, different challenges. There's really cool, it's called flex netting, where you think it looks like you're doing chain link fence or something, but it is so soft and very user friendly. And it's strategic play to where if you're someone you don't feel comfortable, if you're a child, you're like, oh, I'm not going up top there yet. It's gradual play to get you, okay, we're here, we're still playing with it, but whenever we get more comfortable, we can go to the top. Super excited for the citizens to see that. It's ginormous.
So I have a question on how do you get to that point? Like, I get citizens comment, but maybe you're not getting enough citizen buy-in, you're not getting their feedback. Like, how do you go from we have a park to this super cool thing? Like, what is that thought process? Like, to walk us kind of through the strategy behind all of it.
Yeah, I think it all stems back from the citizens supporting Parks and Rec. Because, back in 2012, they approved the sales and use tax split between fire and us. Before then, we kind of had to struggle and battle for capital improvement funds. But now that we have that dedicated sales tax, it certainly helps ensure continuous progress. And with that, I think kind of a few years ago, it was, well, we want to do all of these things right now. And we kind of pick and chose things, and we didn't go all in. And I think we really learned from that in certain areas to where, hey, we did this, but man, I wish I would have done this at the same time. And now we're just going all in. Let's pick a park, pick a project, let's finish it before we move on and start piecemealing everything all over.
I love that.
And I really think that's how we get buy-in for that. And it's been great. It's, of course, you always have the negatives, But typically the positives do outweigh that, but you also have to listen to the negative comments because usually it's a critique and, okay, well, how can I do something in the future to change your perspective? Mm-hmm. How can I make it better for you? So.
Yeah, and we've got Creekmore Park has almost been totally redone.
Yes.
It's getting
I have something to make you happy. We're working on resurfacing tennis courts, getting agreement. You're welcome.
I love it.
Gonna need you to start publishing that, whenever we get it.
Tennis would love to be and grow more here.
Once that's done, that is almost the entire
That will
park.
be the entire park, other than the community center.
Yeah.
But
and then John Bell Jr. is almost a brand new park. It's only a few years old now, right? Is that right?
I think we bought it. We got the land sometime around 2008-ish, I think.
Okay.
Because I just graduated high school.
Oh, I'm thinking about the playground.
The playground was finished 2019.
Okay.
And that is my baby with it from the dirt up.
So we've got that. Carolyn Cross has almost been completely redone.
Yes.
Tillis is getting a lot of improvements. I love how you're like, you're not just focusing on one part of town. You've gone through through town incrementally over time, but you've gone through and said, we're going to make sure that there's amenities everywhere throughout the city. And I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And that's really what we did with new parks. We did Amani Park just right across the street pretty much. We did Stagecoach down the road. And we also did John Bell Jr. And now that we have those and we have parks amenities pretty much within walking distance of the community, now we can go back and really invest in what's existing because we have expanded. Now as Fort Smith continues to grow, absolutely we're going to have to look at potentially adding more parks and not just, I think I would like to take a moment. I think too often people hear parks and they think, well, you're talking about Creekmore, you're talking about Tillis. Well, that's just a broad term. We have something like Anniversary Rose Garden. It's not a true park, but it's somewhere you have a nice little chapel. You can get married, the same as Pendergraft Park. So whenever we talk about parks and people throw numbers out there, you have too many parks. Well, no, we have 35 plus properties that serve different purposes.
Yeah.
And whenever we're doing these things and even looking at maybe developing new parks or adding additions, we don't want a duplication of services.
Yeah.
We want you to be able to go to this park one day and go to another park and have a completely different experience.
Yeah. But you guys have Harry E. Kelly River Park, the Glass Pavilion. I mean, there's tons of buildings and parks that you guys maintain and manage. It's pretty
And I think residents forget that, parks are really a part of quality of life. And it's what drives people into wanting to live into certain communities or different areas is, hey, can I walk to my park? Or do I have amenities that are super close? Or do I have a spot that I can go kick a ball with my son or my daughter and just, have that space? And we tend to forget those things as, like this is just a part of quality of life. Like this is a thing. And the fact that you get to oversee it you're the right person for the job.
Yeah.
So.
Something might excite you.
Again,
so
it's like I'm getting gifts today.
I love to give. I'm a giver here. So we recently had a rugby team, kind of Fort Smith rugby form. And later next week, I'm meeting lacrosse. They want to come. Yeah. So we have we have handball. Have you heard from anyone?
Yeah,
so
we've started hearing from that group.
So we're bringing new sports in. I know we're really not recreation, but we have facilities to where they can introduce kids and young adults to these sports and, hey, develop them and let's bring them to Fort Smith.
That's great.
Exactly.
And you also oversee the trail network, correct?
Yes, most of it.
Most of it.
The county has pretty much everything around Ben Guerin area with the exception of what we call Chaffee Crossing Segment 1 is the county, but we have Greg Smith River Trail starting May Branch, Greenway.
May Branch Greenway. Let's talk about that a little bit. What is May Branch Greenway? And where are we at right now? Where will we be in the future? Those types of things. Because I know biking really changed the game for Northwest Arkansas in a lot of ways. And I feel like we're on the cusp of a lot of that connectivity down here as well. So
absolutely. So May Branch Greenway, for me, it is really our first Greenway, Trails and Greenways project. that looks at connectivity within the city.
Yeah.
Because Greg Smith, it goes around the Arkansas River. You have to go to Greg Smith specifically to walk, bike, or anything. May Branch Greenway, it connects off of Greg Smith River Trail across Riverfront Drive and ultimately goes to Martin Luther King Jr. Park, Creekmore, and then behind the Kelly Park ball fields. And to me, that's important because it connects restaurants, schools, different businesses.
The libraries right
yes,
there.
Yes, libraries, you name it. So I think the transition for us, that project helps us go from, hey, when people hear trails, they're thinking, oh, well, avid bikers and runners. Well, you're right. Okay. But a greenway, and why we chose to use greenway and not trail, it's connectivity. Trails, a greenway isn't just for a bike or anything. So it's kind of shifting that internal bias of people to say, oh, well, trails aren't for me. That's okay. Everyone has their opinion, but a greenway, it's a different form of transportation. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. That's okay. But if we can do that and kind of help promote people from having that, it's great. Safe connections for kids to go different places. So for me, May Branch Greenway is probably the most important project we have right now.
Oh, wow. That's awesome to hear.
It's a bold statement. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it is. It's going to really shift from that. I mean, like I said, just that bias of trails are just for a specific group. They're not whenever you construct them the way May Branch Greenway is meant to serve the citizens. It's for everyone. Not everyone will be a user. That's okay. But at the same time, not everyone's a driver. Not everyone likes that. But let's give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
That's a strategic decision. That's not a response. That's not well, we just had some land. Let's see what we could do with it. Like, again, I hope everybody listening and watching this, is starting to kind of get that feel of what you're doing and what's happening is truly strategic and trying to get us into the next generation and continue that movement.
Yeah. And I think, if there's anybody listening that haven't been to our parks, you're missing out. But two, I don't think you're seeing how heavily utilized our park system really is. Go to Creekmore.
Taking my parking spot, but that's okay. It's okay.
Go to Creekmore and see how utilized it is. Go to Carolyn Cross and see how busy it is. Martin Luther King. People are utilizing these amenities because they're needed, but also because it's a cheap way to get out of the house,
Yes.
So I appreciate it, but I want to know what motivates you to continue to build those things and start these projects or maintain what we currently have.
I think it's all about serving your citizens. You have to want to be a public servant because I'm not here to serve myself. There's projects we do that I'm never going to be a user, but I'm not here to serve me. I'm here to serve them. And, we have a lot of opinions, as you know, we have a lot of opinions, and it's really, okay, well, what moves can we make to satisfy and kind of cater to all of those opinions? And sometimes you have people, they're not as vocal as some of the other groups, but that's not to say their silence is not the majority. And sometimes it's an issue to kind of struggle through figuring out, well, what really are the priorities of the citizens and what you want. And whenever you can really just get, I think maybe for me, it's turning one negative into a positive opinion and shifting that, because then you just have a domino effect. Whenever you have one negative opinion, you're like, well, let me come sit down. Let's explain it. What can we do to change your view? Or, hey, do you just really not like something? And it's just having that interaction. And whenever you have the resources necessary to make those changes and just have one positive for one person, that's what we look to do for every day. Love having my office at Creekmore Park. You're having a rough day, frustrations, you just go out in the park, hear the laughter, watch the kids and families. It's great. Or walk the dog around the park. I need an office
out at Creekmore Park.
Me too. Can we all just can we have remote offices over?
Come on.
I tried to come in the other day and I was like, I don't have a key. I need to work on this. I need.
And my favorite part
I know someone.
I wasn't.
Of course, I love coming to see you, but my favorite part of coming to your office, you know what I'm going to say?
Deputy dog.
Deputy dog.
Yes.
Busy is my favorite. So you do have a dog. busy?
I have two, but only
Okay.
one's the office dog.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry. What's your other dog's name?
Tsunami. So blizzard,
Okay.
tsunami, and we're waiting on tundra frost.
Okay, nice.
Started with hurricane and just snowballed.
That's awesome. So I know we kind of alluded to this earlier, and you did say one was your current favorite. But when you get out and go to the park, which park are you visiting and walking around and exploring most often?
Right now is Creekmore, and not just because I'm there, just because
That's
I know, it's because we have so much going on.
yeah.
But I think Tillis Park is really it's always been one of my favorite. Amber in our office, that's her favorite park. But I think that project, the first phase of the improvements we did, there's a group of elderly ladies, sweetest ladies ever, who walked that trail that used to be crusher dust. And whenever we told them out there, we said, we're thinking about doing asphalt. And they were like, no, don't do that. And we kind of explained to them, be like, it's not to take away a soft surface trail. It's really to avoid you having to step over a pond every time it rains. And, we finished that project, and the very next week they called and were so grateful that we did not listen to them and that we pursued the asphalt trail. So every time I go to Tillis Park, I think of that. And our staff, they did the demo, getting everything ready for our new inclusive playground. And we were out there Monday. We met with contractor and everything, and just visualizing that, I cannot wait for the citizens to see that. So first week of July, we should start seeing equipment going in there. Please do not go through orange construction fencing. Cannot.
We have posted about that a couple times, and we will probably post about it again because that is a common theme lately.
Hey, I would be excited too if I was a kid. Just please don't, because sometimes that can delay a project.
And for your safety, right? It's there for
it's
safety.
It's there for a reason.
Yeah. There's also disc golf out there too, right?
There is. It's Arkansas's oldest course, and that was originally not even part of our improvements, but there's a local Western Arkansas Flying Disc Association. They reached out to us, said, hey, if you get these new nets and everything, we'll install them. We'll do signage and everything. And I'm like, free labor, you betcha. We can buy it. We just don't have the time to do it.
Yeah. Does that happen often? Like partnerships like that?
I would say sometimes it does. It does, and it's completely unsolicited, and usually it comes out of the blue, and they're like, no, we'll do it if you can give us the materials, free labor. Hey.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Kind of like miniature golf course.
I was about to ask and say that.
Yeah.
And ID Logistics and Graphic Packaging knocked it out.
It looks great. We went out this weekend.
That's like one of my upcoming is to go play mini golf.
Got the Creekmore special. You can go. You can get the Creekmore special, which is snow cone, a snack, and game of mini golf for $5. So,
that is insane.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's great for all ages. Like
yes.
I'm not going to be the creeper out there on the on the miniature golf course.
We apparently have a miniature golf league.
What?
They're going to have tournaments. Yes.
So if you
who knew that? Hey, it is it's a self-organized league.
Nice.
I'm going to need the contact so I can sign up for that.
I'm in on that. That's about the kind of golf I can play.
I've only seen 3 of them, but they have a Facebook page, I think.
That's
I'm
cool.
jumping on that immediately.
That's cool. If you go out now, I'll say this. If you go out now and you play mini golf, it is redone, but it will change slightly over time because they're going to add obstacles, right? And so you may go out once, but it's going to be different maybe the 3rd or 4th time you go out,
Yes, so, and by they, not the city. ID Logistics is doing that, and I think Graphic Packaging might have something in the works.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. It's been an internal, war against each other because they all knew each other. We didn't know that. But they all want to one-up this group. Well, you didn't tell us they were doing that. Well, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. So
do they each get 9 holes? And they're like
2 18s.
2 18s.
2 18-hole courses.
So 2 18s, and they're just trying to figure out who can make it the worst possible.
Yes. And
it's awesome.
This is great.
It is. And those volunteers, hours and hours in the sweat.
And they were happy about it, too.
Yes.
I went out and took pictures of them. And I was like, you guys are cracking jokes and having a good time.
Because they're not in the office.
That's true.
That's true.
To work on the manufacturing floor.
I think that's Fort Smith. Yeah. We really have community-oriented people who want to get out there and volunteer and see sometimes there is a need that the person responsible for that can't get to. but they just offer, they volunteer, and man, they were out there all the time. Bless them.
Yeah.
I think they got a lot of Girl Scout cookies from Parks Commissioner as payment. So maybe a couple snow cones here and there.
That's hilarious.
So, you've got that side of it. Like, general public, when they appreciate things that are happening, what are things that residents can be doing to say and show appreciation to the Parks and Rec staff as they see them out and about working?
Talk to them. I promise our staff out there, they love to be talked to. Now, don't sit there and have an hour-long conversation. They have things to do.
Like they still have a job.
But hey, you know what? If you have a lot you need to get off your chest, that's okay too. But just wave, say hi to them, because that's really where we get a lot of feedback when citizens take a minute to see one of our staff members and say, hey, did you know this sidewalk's cracked right here? Hey, there's a broken piece or something. Tell us. And that interaction, that gives us the most feedback ever. I think for Creekmore Park, some of those improvements for drainage and kind of how we did the walkway was a direct result of citizens just saying, hey, you over here, come here, and talking to our staff. Because the actual users of the park are who you need to get the most input from, but then the non-users, well, what can we do to kind of satisfy your needs and get you to become a user of the park? So stop us, say hi, call us. I got a few emails. I love getting the emails, but at the end of the day, for me, it's our staff that are out there maintaining it. I can spearhead a project all day long, but you build it, someone has to maintain that, and that's our staff doing that.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. So if people, something that we're working on currently too is ways to break down barriers for getting feedback from residents as well. So I don't know when, hopefully soon we're going to really launch this idea of going online and giving feedback for projects. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, or do you want me to?
You can, but I will say, I think you get copied on the See It, Report It.
Yeah, I do.
I think we haven't got as much feedback through that as possible, or I would like to see, but I think it's growing on people. And if you see something, tell us. It's great that you posted on social media. Hey, we get that because you want to bring awareness to a potential issue. But when you do that, also report it to us, because if we don't know, we can't address it.
Yeah. What's the best way to do that?
Honestly, the See It, Report It link on the website. We have the QR codes at the restrooms, or just call our office and an email, something. Just make sure that we're aware of it, because sometimes social media, we don't have someone that is on social media all day long.
And social media is just hard to keep a handle of, to know what's happening all the time. So when we do see something, we address it, but it's hard to always know what's being said. So just letting us know directly is probably the best way, or letting you know. I'll forward it to you, but
and it's not going to annoy us. It's not going to bother us. Again, you're helping us, because we can't be at every park looking at everything every single minute of the day.
Yeah.
It's helping us, not frustrating us. You're not being a tattletale. Just tell us so we can address it.
Yeah, I want to kind of highlight something that you said earlier, but we went through it really fast, is, Fort Smith in a lot of ways, as far as our playgrounds and what we're doing, is a model community in the state. Why is that? What are those things that we're modeling for, that you've seen other cities emulate too, based on what we've done?
It's taking it a step further, and not just plopping a cookie cutter playground out there, and not just putting a playground in the middle of a park. It's okay, well, what can we do to really cater to a playground? Yeah, it's for kids, that's great, but when grandparents are there, or mom and dads are taking the kids, well, what can they do rather than run around with the kids, unless that's what they want to do? And you see that we've integrated sidewalks, walking paths around the playgrounds. Creekmore Park is a really good example. We have about 0.2 of a mile around that playground area that they can go with.
I'm so thankful for that.
I mean, it's great. You see grandparents, they're constantly walking around there, and I assume the grandkids are in there playing the fenced-in area playing.
Well, for me, it gives me, if it's raining or a little bit muddy, it gives me a way to walk around and see where my kids are at, because I have 3, and so keeping track of where they all are within that fenced-in location is kind of hard sometimes. So.
It is, and it's just taking it a step further, and when you have a project, it's more cost effective to do it right and do it all in at once rather than having to come back and piece things together. And Creekmore, we did have to do that. That was one of our learning experiences. But with Carolyn, we hit it all out at once. Tillis, the same thing. So it's just learning from that. And when cities call me, they're like, I'm not asking what you did wrong. And I'm like, no, let me tell you what we've learned from, because why would I intentionally put you in that same position to where we are? Learn from us, use us, because, I mean, I'm a straight shooter. I'll tell you the truth. You might not like it, but if there's something I can do, a mistake we made that I can prevent someone else from making, ask us, because we've definitely learned the more we go through projects, what works, what doesn't work, and what really is the best way to go about things.
So one of the things I'm super excited about, I'm sure you are too, is, you know, the city and you.
Me too.
And you.
Don't leave me out of this conversation.
Just a little.
Is that the city purchased the old Acme brick property, which is direct smack dab in the middle of town. If you haven't been there, it's
111-ish.
111-ish acres in the middle of town. What's the plan there? What could come of that? Let's just pretend for a second you had an endless stream of money, which does not exist, but let's say you had this
don't hear this and think that this is happening.
stream of money. This is definitely hypothetical pie in the sky, okay? But if you did, what would you imagine going in that spot there?
So number one, I just want to throw it out there. The number one priority for that property and the reason it was purchased, stormwater mitigation. That's in the works. That is 100% number one priority, going to be finished first.
Yeah.
Which,
now with that,
explain stormwater mitigation, because I think some people are going to be confused on what exactly and where kind of this is beneficial.
So flooding, pretty much you have a lot of rainwater, the flooding, we call it May Branch. It goes along and there's a lot of flooding on the north side of town. Streets and engineering are looking at, does it need to be a retention pond, which means it retains water and possibly a recreation amenity? Maybe not. Or does it need to be detention and dry pond? And that decision is 100% on how they can mitigate the most flooding. So parks, I know we're in the master planning process. Yes, we have feedback, but none of that is going to outweigh what needs to happen for stormwater mitigation.
Yes, which is great for the community.
Yes. Yes.
Solving an issue for the community. Love it.
Which is the main reason we purchased it. The board
100%.
Yeah.
So unlimited supply of money, that is going to be the vision there, is to make it a world-class destination park. I hate using that word because it's going to be like nothing, or it can be like nothing Fort Smith has. And as we're going through this master planning process, there's been so much coordination between our side and streets and engineering and that stormwater mitigation. And there's just so much potential there. And I think our biggest thing whenever we start having community input sessions is getting people out there. And we call it the see me point, because I think the perception changes once you're there, because you really can't see much from the road. And getting there, I think people will have more of a vision of what it can be and why what we're kind of thinking. And of course, it's all citizen driven. If it is a park amenity, why that makes sense. And for me, and you know what point I'm talking about, you need to come out, hook up with me, and you can
I need to see it.
Yeah,
because I've only seen very little of it.
Yes. Pictures don't do that particular point justice.
You can't do it. I mean, I don't think you can without seeing it with your own eyes.
And I think a simple way to put it is, in the middle of town, you're in nature. You're secluded from everything. And just capitalizing on that opportunity. I know the steering committee, the first couple sessions we had, we did some photos. And we're looking at maybe some vertical amenities.
I love that.
Yes. And, again, feedback from not only citizens, but our staff having older kids. It's, hey, we have Creekmore. It's great for families, really family oriented, for younger kids. But Acme, how can we make it still accommodate families? But let's do something that's really for young adults and more geared towards them. Because
are you talking about like zip lines?
No.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say no, but from a city perspective, no.
That
But if
sounds
there
like a
maybe,
liability.
hey, if there's a private somebody who wants to do something, I think we're open to looking at
Okay,
that.
I'm
But
just
here's the
kidding.
deal,
I'm
is
just
like,
sorry. I was just
I think about like what you're saying and kind of being a part of some of the conversations early on being
Yeah.
asked. And like I look at Gathering Place in Tulsa
yeah.
that as you move through the park, it's like this is for toddlers and then this is for,
Yes.
you know, the littles and this is for the ones that are just learning to walk. And then you've got the runner. But then you have the vertical kind of spaces where
Super
you go and you see adults up there with their kids,
I've
or
been
you
there.
just see
Yes.
teenagers up there running through and stuff like that. And it becomes this, rightfully said, gathering place. It's a place where everybody can come in. And, you know, I think about Central Park and I think about all these like iconic places in the middle of cities. And when you told me about Acme, I immediately went there of like, this is a defining moment for this city to take
Yes.
this 111-ish acres and figure out a way to just have it transform how Fort Smith is seen.
I think that's important, and that's really why we had a push, and I appreciate, kind of getting to elaborate some on why we said, hey, it's so important for us to do this master plan in coordination with the stormwater, because you have one chance to do it right.
Yep.
You can only do it right, and for something this significant, maybe we go through this and it's not a park. That's okay. I think it would make a great park, but hey, that's okay if it's not. It's all about the community. But let's just do it right, and that's where we are. But getting people out there and them seeing it, I think will change a lot of perspectives, even for city staff going out there to change their perspective of what they thought. The steering committee, I think we have an excellent group of people, and they're really going to start the education on that. So we'll see where it goes. But again, stormwater mitigation, number one. And then what we're doing with is secondary to that, but you have to do it together.
Yeah. And there will be a chance in the future for the community to really make their voice known
Yes.
in regards to what they would like to see out there.
100%, because they're the ones ultimately paying for it.
Right.
Through tax dollars, and we want to make sure we're serving them and meeting their interests, and also looking to how can we continue to grow Fort Smith. And, one of the consultants that we have, she said we're going to take it and Fort Smithify the property. And I go, I love that. I'm going to start using that term. So we're going to Fort Smithify a former Acme brick property.
Yeah. That's
Love
cool.
that. Well, this is the question I always like, just because obviously I'm on the visitor side and I want to hear from locals of what they do. You get a day off, you get a weekend. What are you doing
get
in Fort Smith? Yeah, do you know what those are? First off, what are you doing with your weekend? Where are you going? Like, where are your top spots in Fort Smith?
For starters, I'm sleeping in.
I love that.
I love
Amen.
my sleep. I love it.
The dogs aren't
But-
getting you up early?
No, I have those dogs trained. They get up when I get up.
I need Willow to come do that training.
Come on. No, you get up, take the pups to the farmer's market. Absolutely. With that, we love the scones at the farmer's market, dog treats.
That's a good one.
Then just down the road, Bellstar Antiques. I think that is the place to go. Love going there.
Super cool. Yeah.
Yes. And then kind
My
of,
wife likes that place too much. So yeah.
you're supporting local here.
Yes.
You're supporting local. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
But, visiting the parks, I know parks person, that's kind of a given answer, but we just have so much and it's so different. You can go to a park, you're going to do something different all the time there. Then, of course, you have to hit up the local restaurants. Big fan of George's and
Yeah.
Rolando's. Those are my top two.
Yeah.
Really like Rolando's a lot.
Rolando's is just a core favorite.
It really is.
Yes.
For Fort Smith. Like, I
So
think
good.
when a lot of people think Fort Smith, Rolando's pops up.
Yeah.
And for it to be the type of food and restaurant it is,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't match necessarily the population, which I
Yeah.
also think is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
That's a
very
really good
colorful. It's got that upstairs. That's a neat little upstairs area. I love it. Yeah.
Staff is bilingual, which I love. Like,
Yeah.
every time I go in there, I'm like, oh, hey, like, and I get a French version or whatever. And I'm like,
Oh,
this
that's
is great.
cool.
Yeah.
So good.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us today and telling us all about what Parks and Recreation's doing in our community, and then getting to hear a little bit about yourself too. And we look forward to what's going to be happening at Acme Brick Park, to what's happening at all the parks in our community. And of course, they can follow along on the Parks and Recreation Facebook page. We're constantly posting events and updates on there. You can follow the City of Fort Smith page as well. There's always updates on there. So that's probably the best way to see really what's going on in our community. And then sign up for updates, right?
That's right.
Sign up for those Gov deliveries because we send those out frequently as well for updates on what's going on construction-wise at our parks and events that are happening. So,
and early congratulations for you getting your doctorate, Dr. D.
They're gonna jinx it.
Dr. Deuster.
We're not jinxing it. We trust you. Okay.
You know, thank you to all those in Arkansas city leaders who helped me with my research here.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it was centered on Arkansas.
Yeah,
So
awesome. Well, thank you again.
thank you.